Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in all things fibre related, so knitting, spinning, crochet and occasionally weaving. Welcome, I'm really glad to be spending time with you today. As you can see, I'm not in my home, I'm down on my local beach. It's not its usual serene self. You may be able to hear, if I shut up, sounds of some sort of machinery in the background. I am assuming they're cutting back either, if you can see sort of above my head there's a walkway up on the cliffs, and further down the way that I'm facing there's kind of a big grassed area, so they're either grass cutting or they might be trimming the trees and the hedges along the top. So I contemplated not recording, but I've brought all my stuff down, so I'm just going to go for it and hopefully we'll get some breaks in that noise. Peace. So it's been a couple of weeks since I have been here. This is one of my vlog chats where I just sit and talk about what I have been making. I've got a little bit to show you, not too much considering the time that I've been away, but my crafting and making mojo has been really low, and I might talk a little bit about sort of like a general chit chat life update at the end. But I do have some knitting, I do have some spinning, and I do have some crochet to share with you today. I almost had weaving. In the last week or so I've gotten back to my loom, and maybe later on this week I'll pop up a little video for those of you who asked for some slow videos when I popped up quite a few months ago. What would you like to see here on the channel? I've got a little bit of a weaving video to come on the channel, just with me sat weaving for a bit with music over the top. So for those of you who are fans of that sort of stuff, hopefully that will be coming up soon. I took my project off of the loom and I've even started to re-warp it for the next project, but the project that I've taken off needs finishing, so I thought I'd save that and chat about it next time. No acquisitions this week. I have been purchasing stuff, but I thought I might just show it to you as and when I start to use it, rather than just a big parade of hey look what I got. One of the symptoms of me trying to cheer myself up, I often turn to buying stuff, which I know is not a great habit to have, but I've bought some really nice things and I don't regret any of them, including some lovely spindles. But yeah, I will show you those as and when I have projects on them. So there's a bit more to chat about rather than, oh, just look at this pretty thing that I have purchased. Anyway, what should we start with? Knitting. Let's start with knitting. So I've got two finished objects to show you. I will show you my sweater first. I finished my Simple Something sweater. Well, I say it's finished, but as I hold it up you will see that there are still ends hanging off this thing. So it's not quite finished, and there's a reason the ends are still on, and I'll explain in a while. So here we go. Here is my Simple Something sweater. It's really warm here in South Wales, so I'm not going to sit here and wear it, although I might try it on just to highlight something in a little while. So actually I finished this either just before or maybe on the day that I was meant to do my last weekly vlog, the day that I put up that I would be taking a little break, and my immediate reaction was I'm going to frog this. Because initially I didn't really like the fit of the sweater, but the funny thing was I wasn't even cross. This is a lot of knitting, right? I knit something like, it's an oversized sweater, so it's probably something like 56-inch chest. I usually knit around about 52 for me. So yeah, a lot of knitting. It is fingering weight, but it is fingering weight held double, so akin to maybe a DK, but still I put a lot of hours of knitting into this, and I was quite surprised with myself when I tried it on and it didn't really fit the way I wanted it to, and I thought, oh well, I'll just frog it, but I didn't even have that sort of pang of annoyance, disgust. It just kind of seemed fitting that something that I've been making during this COVID-19 pandemic, when the world is just completely askew, that my project was also askew. But I really can I say that enough times, enjoyed the process of knitting this. And there are some absolutely gorgeous yarns in this which have really good memories of previous projects or gifts from friends in here. So it was just a real joy to knit. So yeah, I wasn't even that cross when I thought that I was going to frog it. But fast forward to 2 weeks down the line, I tried it on again in the week, and I think I'm actually going to keep it. It doesn't fit as I initially hoped. It's way too big, and I think again, I'll try it on in a minute. I'll stop waffling around this. Can you tell I'm out of practice? Mind you, there's probably not much difference to my usual waffle. I think the irony is, the thing that makes it not fit so well is the depth of the raglan, and I'm not sure if it actually made it into the video or whether it's something that I cut out, because often I record for like 40 minutes worth of chat and then cut a whole bunch out because a lot of it's just waffly nonsense. But I definitely remember saying out loud that I needed to be aware, because in the pattern pictures, like the original samples, to me the raglan seemed really deep. But as I tried it on, it seemed fine. But I know this garment has stretched quite a lot in the sort of soaking and blocking. I didn't like block it aggressively. I literally just let it soak in water and then laid it out flat to dry. I can tell from the length of the sleeves that this has grown several inches. So again, I'm not even mad that, you know, I tried it on and it seemed to fit and then it didn't fit, because sometimes these things happen. But I have decided that I think it will be a nice, cozy, snuggle up in the winter kind of sweater. It might not be something that I wear every day because of practicalities, and again, I'll chat a little bit more around that when I quickly try it on. But I could definitely see myself cozying up in it in the winter when you need that extra bit of warmth. So I'm going to, even though it is really warm today, I'm going to quickly try this on for you and show you what I mean. Okay, so here we go. Just have to adjust the camera angle slightly. If I hold out my hands, you can see there's like loads and loads of fabric under this raglan. If I sort of grab my armpits like way up here, and that means that, let's see if I can step back, it's a bit difficult to see exactly what I'm showing you, but obviously when I lift up my arms, it really pulls the sweater up. So from a practical point of view, if I was wearing this in the shop, for instance, when I'm working and I'm constantly reaching and bending, it just wouldn't provide me that warmth. I'm going to end up like flashing my sides and be forever kind of like adjusting the jumper. You can see me now because I've put my hands up, I'm fiddling around with the bottom of the jumper. And let me just pull the sleeves down. As you can see, the sleeves come right over my hands. Hopefully you can see that. But now I've retried it on again, as I say, I can see myself wearing this as a nice kind of warm, cozy sweater in the winter. Sometimes you just want to put your hands in your sleeves and be nice and cozy, and when I don't, I can easily fold up the cuffs. And again, I'm going to be exposing lots of ends here because I haven't woven or snipped off the ends because of the fact that I thought maybe I was going to frog this. But yeah, it's just oversized like everywhere, which is part of the garment design, but it's just, it's not oversized in a way that I like, if that even makes sense. I mean, I'm really happy with the fun, colourful nature of the sweater. I know a big kind of garish, mild, rainbowy sweater wouldn't be for everyone, but I love it. And there are some beautiful yarns, as I say, some sent to me by friends, some from precious leftover projects. I contemplated when I first finished the project and I thought maybe I was going to frog it. I contemplated just donating it, but there's so many precious yarns in this that I just couldn't from that perspective. So up here somewhere, let me find it. Oh, here it is, down here on the boobs. There's some leftovers from some yarn that James bought me for my 40th birthday. I've got a mini from Owl About Yarn, which was part of the Knit Tea Retreat goodie bag from last October. I've got some really precious leftover mini skeins from my lovely friend Caroline, and then I've got particularly towards the bottom of the sweater. Actually, I'll show you on the sleeve, that'll be easier. I've got these really lovely colours, some of which were recently sent to me in mini swap packages and as gifts. When I ordered some fibre, Attic Spin Dye sent me a couple of really lovely minis. This blue one at the end, and then there's another one, this one. Can you see that one? I'm pretty sure it was that one. So yeah, the thought of kind of donating it and giving away these precious memories, I just couldn't do it. But yes, I am going to keep the sweater. I'm going to snip off all the ends. I'm going to take this off now. And I'm just going to show you the inside of the sweater quickly before I sit back down and stop talking about this one. So in the knit side of the fabric, which is traditionally the right side, as you can see, I've got all of these ends. But I employed a joining technique called the clasp weft joint, which was kindly pointed out to me by the lovely Mairead. Hi Mairead, if you're watching. And it's a way of kind of knitting in your ends as you go, which is why they're kind of like spread apart like this. And this should mean I should be able to just trim them down now. But honestly, I might not even bother trimming most of them. I'm not going to wear the sweater this way out. I like the reverse stockinette side. So I will probably just weave in kind of the ends that are near to the edges on the top, the bottom and the bottom of the sleeves that might end up poking out, and then the rest can probably just hang out in there because no one is going to see that. So yeah, Simple Something by Anchor Strict, a great way to use up bits and pieces and a really, really fun knit. Just be careful, particularly if you're using superwash yarn, of the stretch factor, because it is quite a heavy garment, and I think that's partly what's contributed to the stretch factor. And if you decide to knit this and then you decide to wash it, definitely don't hang it up when you're drying it, because that would make the stretch factor even bigger. Or just be mindful of the raglan when you're knitting it. The yokes were much deeper for the bigger sizes. Again, I was knitting one of the larger sizes, but it might be just, it's probably just worth being aware of your own personal yoke depth, because we're not all the same. I realise I'm talking at you but you can't see my head. Much more important for you to see the jumper. So yeah, Simple Something finished. Oh, I should have done a sweater dance before I took off the sweater, shouldn't I? Hang on, let's do a dance with the sweater rather than a finished sweater dance. Is there a difference? Good job the beach is quiet, isn't it? It's only you lot out there on YouTube land that realise the extent of my eccentricity, shall we say. I just managed to knock the tripod over. Luckily it went backwards rather than forwards, so no harm done to my phone. It sounds like the hedge cutting or whatever it is getting closer, so sorry about that, but you know, we're outside. Not much I can do about it, and I'm not going to record this again. Selfish of me, I know. Right, second knitted object that I have to show you this week is a project that I started and finished this last weekend. This last weekend gone by should have been the Knit Tea Retreat, which is a lovely retreat here in the UK, organised by Jenny, who is Owl About Yarn, and Zoe, who is Pins and Needles UK. Together they run the Knit Tea Retreat, and they are also the brains behind the wonderful Cartref yarn, which is a beautiful Welsh produced yarn. And yeah, we should have been in Stratford enjoying a nice knitty weekend, but obviously with everything going on, that was not possible. So they put on a virtual event across Instagram and Facebook, mostly on Instagram. There were lots of fun events to take part in, lots of live appearances on Sunday from vendors of the virtual marketplace. It was really fun. There was also a bingo card which added a little bit of a sort of fun competitive element, and as part of the bingo card, one of the bingo squares to complete was to start a project and the other was to finish. So I thought it'd be fun to try and start and finish something in the weekend. And of course, if you know me or if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I'm about to show you a gnome. And I actually spun the yarn for this and knit this project in the weekend. On the Saturday, I spun up the yarn. I used a beautiful new Turkish spindle that I have from Enid Ashcroft. And when I've got a spin in progress on that, I shall show that off properly. The Knit Tea Retreat colours are sort of like purpley, blue, pinky sort of colour tones. So I picked some little bumps of fibre out of the sample box that my lovely friend Mandy sent me. Hi Mandy, if you're watching. And I just spun them all up. There were lots of little small bits of fibre, but I just spun them all up as singles, but then when I applied them into sort of one big ball, and I've got all of this left still, so I spun up plenty of yarn. In my eagerness to kind of get this project finished, I didn't actually measure the yarn, how much I had or anything like that. But that's okay. This, as I say, was more about fun, and also for me it was a great way to help get my creative making mojo back. Oh, it's so beautiful out there. I get getting distracted. Let me just swing you around a minute. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Isn't that just beautiful? Over here you can see Steepholm and Flatholm, and there's a lighthouse on Flatholm. I don't know if you can quite make that out. It might not be visible through the camera. And then if we, sorry about the creaking, swing round slowly, you can just about make out the coast of England over there. So there's Breen, Weston-super-Mare, and there's kind of streaks of sunlight coming through those clouds over there, which again I don't think is going to be picked up necessarily well on the camera, but it's just beautiful. Anyway, back to gnome. So yes, I knit up this gnome using the Never Not Gnoming pattern by Sarah Shearer, which is the first pattern in her gnome series that she came out with. It's the basic sort of gnome, the basic gnome. Maybe that could be the new BB insult, BG. So yeah, I already had the pink, and I already had the sort of charcoal grey black colour. That was actually left over from my Storm shawl by Joji Locatelli, that one skein shawl that I knit from my hand spun. But yeah, all of the sort of purpley pinky tones were spun, and yeah, I have this left. Seriously, I don't think I could make this up if I tried. So all through lockdown I have been threatening to come down to the beach to record my whole podcast, and the day that I managed to get my act together and do that, it's like they're recording the soundtrack for Chainsaw Massacre in the background. What's happened to my peaceful beach? I've moved down the beach a little bit, and there's nowhere to sit down here, so I am going to stand and record the rest of this. I'm standing in a sea of seaweed. I'll flip you around so you can see what I see. So this is my view as we are chatting. I love this bit of beach. It's like a completely alien landscape. There's like massive tendrils of seaweed, and there's these kind of like rock shelves that get exposed with all sorts of like barnacles and limpets and things stuck to them. It's ace when the sea's out like this. Okay, I've managed to find some rocks to balance my tripod on. What an episode to come back to this is going to be. I'm going to have to put my glasses on because I'm looking into the sun, so sorry. I've only got my spinning and crochet left to show you. I should probably call it a day and just go home and record the rest from home, but I've started, so I'll finish. Okay, so I've got my bag of goodies that I'm keeping off of the sludgy sand because it is really sludgy around here. I've already showed you one finished spin object, so we might as well transition into spinning. I finished the attic spin die spin that I was working on when we last spoke, and I'm spinning this, or I was spinning this for sock yarn. So hopefully you can see my finished yarn. It's a traditional 3-ply. I was hoping for a fingering weight, but it's turned out very similarly to my Wildcraft Cheviot that I spun, in that it's more like a sport weight to DK. So didn't quite manage to spin fine enough, but I'm still going to use this for socks. It was a Corriedale nylon blend, so I think Corriedale's great for socks on its own, but with the nylon giving it a bit of extra strength, it should be fab for socks. So I'm going to have 2 cosy, slightly thicker hand spun socks to wear this winter. Once I get this on the needles, I've got to finish those first pair first. And then also, so after I finished my 3-ply, I also had a little bit left on 2 of the bobbins that I'd spun. So I made this sort of chain ply little sample, which will definitely stripe. So this kind of shows off the different colours that were in that fibre, the orange, the 2 yellows and the purple. Whereas this one's definitely barber poled, although there are some bits in the yarn where, particularly the yellow, because there were 2 different yellows that are sort of plain yellow. So I'm really looking forward to knitting this one up. I think it's going to make a really fun pair of socks. I did a fractal spin for this, so I split my fibre into 3 parts, and then I split those 3 parts down even more. One I split into 3, one I split into 6, and one I split into 9. So obviously there's some slightly longer sort of colour repeats in one of the plies, and then shorter and shorter for the other 2 plies, which gives this nice kind of barber poled effect. And I think overall when I knit it, there'll be a sort of a striping effect because of that first ply that got split into 3. But the colours should change and mould together quite rapidly and quite nicely. Last time we spoke, which I think was a knit and chat video, I mentioned that I'd got a second fleece, a Dorset down fleece from a local small holding. If you've watched the channel for a little while, you know that this summer I've started to explore processing fibre directly from raw fleece. My first fleece was a Jacob Ryland sent to me by my lovely friend Charlie. Hi Charlie. And then I bought the Dorset down, and yes, there's more. I've also since purchased 2 Shetland fleeces, but James has told me, James is my other half, that I need to stop buying fleeces and process some of the ones that I have before I get any more, which is fair enough. So over the last couple of weeks, as I say, my crafting mojo has been a bit low, but every now and then I felt the urge to kind of like process a bit of fibre and spin it. The downside is I haven't really kept a good record of what I've spun, which is slightly frustrating to the me of now, because I wanted to keep some really good records of the steps that I went into and the sampling that I did with these fleeces. But the last couple of weeks have been quite tough mental health weeks, and I just wanted to do what I felt like doing in the moment. And I've only used small samples of each of the fleece, so in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to alter my record keeping too much. But I've got a few samples of the yarns that I've spun up on my spindles. I've also got some samples at home that I've spun up on my wheel. These haven't been washed and sort of soaked yet, but this is a little sample of the Jacob Ryland cross, which is really nice. This one is the Dorset down, which as you can see is a nice sort of creamy white fleece. It's probably blowing out in the sunlight. And then these 2 little samples are slightly different in colour, but they're from the same Shetland fleece. This one was sold to me as a fawn colour, and there's definitely sort of like a grey brown sort of tinge to it. And I've also got a grey fleece that I've yet to wash. These are so super soft. These are just quickly spun up on my spindles and 2-plied. So these are the softest. That one comes next. This one's a bit coarser, but that might be to do with my processing and my spinning techniques. I probably the Dorset down fibre is like a cloud, almost straight from the fleece. So I need to do a little bit of playing around to see what's going to be the best way to process that to make the sort of nicest, softest yarn, I think. I really love all of these natural colours, and standing in this big patch of seaweed and rocks from the beach, I can see all of these colours reflected in front of me, which is really fun. And then finally, crochet. crochet is the one thing that sort of first week when I said that I wasn't going to record, I felt the call to crochet again, partly in thanks to Lynn of Callan Yarns. Hi Lynn, if you're watching, who had a episode a couple of weeks ago where she was reviewing all of her crochet blanket whips, and it inspired me to grab my Babette blanket. And I'm just going to show you one of the squares, but I've made 11 squares for my Babette blanket. It's basically a solid granny square pattern, and you create squares of different sizes. So I think there's some 2 round, some 4 round, some 6 round, you get the picture. And I had the 8, the 10 and the 12 round squares left to make, 11 in total, and I've made all 11. So as I say, this is just one of them. I do have the others in the bag, but for sake of time, I'm not going to show them all to you. But my next step is now to join this blanket together. I can't remember the designer of the pattern, but it's the Babette blanket, and I started it, I think it was one of my 12 cast-ons from not this year but the year before. So there's still quite a lot of work to go to get everything joined and to put the border around, but it's creeping ever closer. And it was really nice to have this sort of modular crochet, really simple, kind of round and round, don't have to think about it kind of project, while I was kind of sat thinking and processing some things. So yeah, that is all of the making. I've been keeping all of my bits and pieces in this gorgeous Star Wars bag that was sent to me by the lovely Ellie of Curio Yarns. I placed a yarn order and a fibre order from Ellie. She had a birthday sale a couple of weeks ago, and she very kindly sent me this drawstring project bag, and I bought it to show. I used it to put all my bits and pieces in this morning. I wanted to show it off to you because she has very kindly sent one for me to give away here on the podcast at some point. I've got to do the drawing for the New Techniques make along, and obviously we've got the 600 subscriber giveaway going at the moment. So I'll save this project bag for a little while until we have our next make along, I think. Made from like proper original fabric, it's the 80s. So thank you so much, Ellie. A really wonderful gift, and thank you for your generosity in donating another one of these for our lovely YouTube followers here. I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be. I feel like it's going to be quite long, but hopefully you won't mind if it is a little bit longer, as it's been 2 weeks. I just thought I'd round up with a quick chat about what's been happening with me for the last couple of weeks. I basically needed to take a little break, and I think I mentioned it in my video where I said there wasn't going to be a vlog, just to try and help me process the things that are kind of happening in the world at the moment. COVID-19, all of the anti-racism protests following the tragic death of George Floyd, and that really had like a big kind of impact on me, just mentally. I think it's probably accumulation of all of these things building up. I think I've mentioned that I've had sort of family members and close friends who've really been struggling with their mental health during this period as well, and I've been trying to be there for them. And yeah, sometimes you keep going and you keep going, and then it all kind of catches up with you. And I really struggled the last couple of weeks, and my creative mojo has been low. I didn't pick up my knitting needles for well over a week, which is just unlike me, unheard of. But it's okay. I did other things. I have started listening to audiobooks, which I never thought I would enjoy. I used to love reading, and then I've kind of got out of the habit, and I don't make time for it. I tend to try and read a little bit as I get in bed, but by then I'm usually too tired to really process anything. So I've started listening to audiobooks, usually while I'm sat. We've had some glorious weather, so I've been able to sit in my garden quite a lot and listen to books, which is just brilliant. I've been really enjoying that. Maybe doing a little bit of knitting or crochet here and there, nothing much to speak of. I've also processed the Shetland fleece and the Dorset Down fleece. I really enjoyed that process. Just the simple sort of process of washing and drying fleece has kept me somewhat occupied. I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I can do things to help change the world situation, and it's really overwhelming, isn't it, to know what to do and what you can do, because the problems just seem huge and you're just one sort of person, one individual. But I think if we all take action as individuals, then that all adds up to make a big difference. So I have made a plan for myself, which I'm not going to chat too much about in detail here, but I'd be happy if anyone wants to reach out to me and ask me about some of the things that I'm doing. Then I'm more than happy to chat to you about that in a direct message or an email or something. But basically I found some organisations that I want to support, some books and resources that I am reading and learning from, and yeah, just trying to make a plan to do more than just pay lip service to anti-racism work. So yeah, that's I guess what's been going on with me. Don't think there's much else to report. I've been spending as much time outdoors as I can. We've had lots of nice weather here in South Wales. We had a break in that weather for the last 10 days or so, but the sunshine is back, although I think we're expecting some rain from tomorrow, so we'll see how that pans out. We definitely need rain, so there's no qualms about that. That would be a lovely excuse for me to sit in my attic room, do some crafting and listen to the rain on the roof of my house. It seems the chainsaws are back. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. So this seems as good a time as any to wrap things up here. I hope that you're all doing okay. Let me know below what you've been up to, what you're working on, how you've been feeling. I love to hear from you, and I'm going to get back into replying to people as soon as I can. Check out my last video, which is the 600 subscriber giveaway. I didn't want to just tack that on to a weekly vlog. I wanted in that giveaway to kind of highlight the designers that I picked out to give away pattern prizes from, and I didn't want that just to be an add-on to a weekly chat. So if you're interested in being in with a chance to win a pattern prize, then go check out that 600 subscriber video. You've got a couple of weeks to enter the prize draw for that. Until we get to spend time together again, let me look at you properly. I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.